In the early 1980s, a family of four, husband, wife, and two children, were traveling through western Kentucky, intending to camp for several days in the land between the lakes National Recreation Area. They were not locals. They had no extended ties to the region. They were described in later retellings as cautious, ordinary, and methodical, people who kept receipts, filled out travel itineraries, and informed relatives of their routes. They arrived in the late afternoon, chose a remote lakeside clearing, and parked their camper near the tree line. The location was legal, but isolated. No ranger station was within immediate walking distance. The children were reportedly excited. The parents were tired. There was nothing unusual about the day. No one remembers seeing them set up camp. That, later, became the first detail people fixated on. What is consistently reported in the legend is that the first night was quiet. The family cooked, settled in, and turned off their lanterns early. Around midnight, the mother is said to have woken to a sound she initially dismissed as wind moving through brush. Then it came again. Not wind, but something heavier. Measured. Paired. Footsteps. She woke her husband. He listened. The sound stopped. There was no panic yet. Only awareness. The next morning, the father reportedly walked the perimeter of their site and found impressions in the soil near the tree line, too large to be human, too deep to be made by deer. He did not photograph them. Cameras were not always kept at hand then. He told his wife it was probably a bear. They considered leaving. They didn't. On the second night, the children woke first. They heard something brushing against the side of the camper, slowly, with pressure, not scratching or pressing. The father stepped outside with a flashlight. He saw nothing, but he heard breathing, not panting, not any animal huffing. It was breathing, very deliberate. He did not tell his wife what he heard. He just told her it was raccoons. This is where accounts diverge, but certain details remain consistent. Sometime after midnight, a noise that was loud, abrupt, and struck the side of the camper. Not once, but twice. The father exited with a flashlight again. He did not return. Minutes passed, when the screaming began. The mother locked the doors and tried to start the engine, but it wouldn't turn over. The children were crying. Something moved around the camper. It was slow, very deliberately, like it was learning the structure. There were impacts, heavy ones. The mother attempted to reach the radio, but there was no signal. Then the windows shattered. And after that, the legend becomes fragmented. What is consistent is this. By morning, the camper was silent. The family was not reported missing immediately. They were supposed to check in with relatives after leaving the park. They did not. Several days later, a ranger found the camper. The door was open, but the interior was destroyed. No animals were present, and no clear cause was listed. What was strange, even in legend, was not the damage, but the absence. No remains were allegedly found, no drag marks, nor any blood trails leading away. It was just an empty, torn campsite. The ranger filed it as an animal attack. No species was specified. This is where the legend claims something unusual occurred. The site was allegedly closed temporarily. There were no press releases, no official missing persons bulletins tied to the area, no campground alerts. The explanation given later was that wildlife incidents were often kept quiet to avoid panic. But this one vanished. Over time, people claimed that rangers were told not to discuss it. Reports were reclassified. Witnesses were dismissed. Local newspapers never ran the story. There is no proof of this, but there is also no public record of the family. In the years that followed, hikers, hunters, and campers reported strange things in that same region. Heavy footsteps at night, something pacing tense, growls that didn't match known animals, shadows moving upright through trees. The smell, strong, wet, metallic people, began telling each other the story. Each retelling added detail. Each detail made it more monstrous. Eventually, the creature became the focus, not the family. And that is how legends work. If a tragedy occurred, and there is no evidence that it did, it would most likely have involved a predatory animal, a criminal act, a family fleeing in panic, or environmental disorientation. There is no verified evidence of unknown creatures. There is no evidence of a massacre. There are no missing persons tied to LBL that match this story. But the persistence of the legend suggests something else happened. Not a monster. A fear. A story born from isolation, tragedy, and rumor.